This episode is brought to you by all of our patrons. To become a patron, head over to patreon.com/makeusbetter. This week's executive producers are Nick. Sorry, Bobby. Can I start again? Oh my god.
Nick.
Nick.
Go ahead.
This episode is brought to you by all of our Patreons. To become a patron, head over to patreon.com/makeusbetter. This week's executive producers are Nick from Next Level Games and Joel Brooks. You guys are awesome.
That seems so unsincere.
You guys are so awesome! Yeah! Seriously, they are.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Nintendo PlayStation Podcast. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by my best friend in all the land, Toby. What is up, Toby?
What is up, Bobby?
It's been a while, man. I haven't talked in a while. It feels like
Really?
it feels like you haven't talked in a while. Although we talked a little bit earlier.
Did we? What, today?
I guess. I don't know. So I dipped back into Zelda. We were talking about that a little bit because I was playing as you joined the call. I'm not even going to bother with you because you're just going to frustrate me. But I got this little guy by me.
No, I don't want to see that.
Look at that.
Don't show me that. I'm not
thing.
even looking.
Look at that beautiful thing. Look at him.
No.
Come on, stop. Look at the shield, man. The shield is so nice. It's lovely.
Yes, Bobby, he's very beautiful.
I have Skyward Sword coming today, but I wasn't
Good for you.
But I wasn't able to get Twilight Princess.
Oh, poor you.
You know what? You weren't able to get any of them, were you?
No, and they came back up for pre-order. I got another email the other day from the Nintendo store saying, limited stock available for these pre-orders. And I clicked through, and as soon as I got there, all the ones I wanted are gone. Like, it's just so annoying. Like, I swear, they send the email out after they go out of stock, just to annoy me.
I don't understand the whole, I did a Nintendo talk about it yesterday, but I'm just befuddled by this, man. I don't get it. This is worse. This is legitimately worse than before. You know what I mean? Like, this is... Man, I thought we got beyond all this. This is just brutal. I don't get it.
Yeah.
In the United States, it's even worse because we have store exclusives. But then the stores, Best Buy and GameStop, didn't even get anything in store. So it wasn't like... So let's say I missed the pre-orders. I wasn't able to order them. Like, I couldn't walk in the store. I would have been so pissed if I would have sat out front of the store waiting for hours for them to open.
Yeah.
And then to find out, like, oh, no, we only have the ones for... Oh, I'd have been livid. But
my local game shop doesn't even have any amiibo in it.
At all?
At all. I was there today, not a single one. Not even shelf space for them.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, how are you a retailer and you don't have these things in store?
Mm.
That's so crazy to me. Like, I mean, I go to GameStop. GameStop has them. They just
know
don't
what?
have this one.
It probably is that they can't get enough stock to sell, probably.
Games, let's be honest, games kind of shitty.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a bad shop.
Yeah, they're horrible. Dude, no lie. This is good. I'm so aggravated. You just brought this up to me. Do you know I still haven't received my Hello Kitty cards?
No! Oh my god.
My Amiibo cards?
Way.
Yes,
No
man.
way.
Dude, that was, 6-7 months ago?
Yeah. Do cancel it. Get your money back.
I can't because I can't figure out how to call them and get a hold of them.
You don't call them. Log in. Send them an email.
I
Send them a message.
I bought them as a guest so I could get them shipped to me.
Yeah, but you must have an order number on an email.
I gotta find it. I gotta see. I'm so...
Bobby, this
That's
is your
ridiculous.
comeuppance. Why on earth are you ordering Hello Kitty cards?
Just because I was trying to get everything in Animal Crossing. I went through this weird phase where I wanted everything, all the items and stuff, and they had these items, and I was like, I would get them, but for Tony, because she plays too. So I was like,
yeah, for your wife, not for you.
Don't judge me. Don't you dare judge me. Plus, I don't know. You know what? Don't start, man. Don't start. It's
Look, you're the one rubbing amiibo in my face.
It's
in the
a sickness, man. It's a sickness.
It is a sickness. Yeah.
I can't get enough of this amiibo craze and all the nut stuff that I do. But anyway,
to go to Nintendo rehab.
You know, I don't know if this is the same in the UK as the United States, but they charge more for these than they do the regular amiibo.
Yeah, I think they are slightly more.
They're better detailed, so I don't mind paying the extra money. Like I've always said that, like if they charge me a couple extra bucks and they look the way these things look, like there's a lot of detail on this Majora's Mask Link. I like it, man. I wish it would have been the Majora's Mask though, not the Goron Mask. That would have made a little bit more sense, don't you think?
No.
Why? Well, okay, so why is the Goron mask?
I think the Goron mask is in some artwork.
Oh, that's right. You're you know what? You're absolutely right. I think it's on. Yes, my bad. You're right. But I don't know. This would have stood out a little more, I think. How's your secret project working out?
Yeah, I need to finish some editing with it, but it's coming on very well. And I think if you like customizing amiibo, then you should check out Custom Conquest in a couple of weeks, and you'll see something special.
Is it so it's gonna be okay? Yeah. It's on Custom Conquest. He's awesome, man. He's really cool.
Yeah, he works so hard, like making those videos.
It's madness. It's madness. So let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode. It's Geek Out time.
Bobby, come on, you got to do better than that.
I gotta do better than that. I figured you were gonna come with something after that, but apparently you didn't.
No, I want you to be excited about it. Come on.
Let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our Geek Outs.
Geek Outs! That's better. Get some energy.
Toby, what are you geeking out about this week?
I am geeking out about the first of the Beyond Good and Evil 2 Space Monkey program videos. Ubisoft uploaded some prototype test footage of Beyond Good and Evil 2. And my gosh, like the technology in this game that's being used to build this game is mind-blowing. And I can see why it's taken them so long to get this project off the ground. If this was their ambition all along, because in this video they basically were showing off the scale of their engine and the way that you could fly about in a jetpack, and you can jump into a ship, and then you could fly your ship away from this city around this planet. You could fly into space at like light speed or hyperspeed or what it's called, and it's all seamless and there's no loading or anything. You know, this is like No Man's Sky on steroids. It is amazing because at one point they're down in the city and there's this giant statue, and the character is like the monkey guy from the trailer.
Yeah.
He's floating around on a jetpack, and he goes up and lands on top of this statue. It's got like a little bobble on top of his head. Yeah. And when you're actually up there, and he zoomed the camera out, like using his developer tools, and you could see like he was like a mere speck on top of this statue. And then when you get in your ship and you fly away from the planet, like the sense of scale is just incredible. And the way, I know, you know, it's still a prototype, so it's not really representative of the final product. So you got to sort of temper your expectations in a way. But the way he was flying around, and there wasn't too much pop in, everything was sort of loading nicely. There was, like I said, there was no loading screens. You could just go out into space. You know, like in No Man's Sky, when you like hyper travel, you've got that weird effect where there's like it's like you're going really fast, but you're almost on the spot because you can't really do anything. It's like it is like it's loading, but this is like it's not loading. You can see yourself traveling. You can see the planet getting smaller behind you, and it's just really, really cool.
Is this coming to Nintendo, or we don't know yet?
We don't know yet. The only consoles that we think it's coming to are PS4, Xbox One, and PC. But you know, even those aren't really confirmed yet.
Now, is it true that Nintendo's funding this, or did they fund the first one?
They didn't fund any. It's just that was a rumor that they were
Oh, they
funding.
were going to fund it to get it up
Yeah.
and going. Okay, so that was the rumor. I knew Nintendo was tied in there somewhere. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure. Sean Capri told me to tell you hello. That's why I was like typing for a second.
Oh,
He was messaging
hi,
me.
Sean Capri. Thanks for hijacking the podcast, even though you're not here.
He just wanted me to say hi. Relax, man. Myself, man, what am I geeking out about? I got a couple things. One would be, you know what I'm gonna do. So today, around 1:00 ish, I'm heading out. I'm gonna go out with the wife. We're gonna run to a local mall to us, probably about 20 minutes, 30 minutes away. There's a retro game shop in there that I wanted to. It's actually a comic book shop, but they also sell old school Nintendo games and stuff. So I wanted to go check that out, and then we're just gonna go to dinner afterward, well, late lunch afterwards. But
Very nice.
they sell a lot of NES games, and I'm on this NES kick lately.
Yeah.
Since I bought this Retron HD, I've been buying all kinds of NES games. I can't get enough, man. So I'm like sitting there today, and I'm like, man, what's some old school Nintendo games that I really want? Like, I went on eBay and was gonna buy games on eBay. I'm like, man, do I really want to spend like $30-$40 on one cartridge? Like, it's so frustrating
Yeah.
what eBay prices are anymore, and it's like, I know I could go to a retro shop and pick this up for a decent price, you know, and not overpay and such. So that's what I'm gonna probably do. And I'm looking for a game called Baseball Stars.
You and your sports games.
Dude, you know what, man? Back on the NES, I loved sports games, but with Baseball Stars, like, that's the ultimate baseball game for anybody that's a baseball fan. It was just a lot of fun. So
Awesome.
that's what I'm geeking out about.
And it's nice to support local businesses like that rather than buying on eBay.
I've definitely been, you know, I go to Nick a lot, but I've been there I was just there a couple weeks ago, and so I want to go see if there's anything new at this other shop that I go to occasionally, so I want to check them out. But, okay, so let's jump into some topics, shall we? So I'm going to let you go first this week, since I went first last week. And
All right, so yeah, I was thinking, I was browsing the PlayStation Store, and we've both of us have been on a bit of a retro kick lately.
Yeah.
Getting into old games, and I bought a load from the local boot sales and that, and so I was checking out the store to see what retro games I had on the PlayStation Store, and they only have on the PlayStation 4 at least, they only have a small collection of PlayStation 2 classics. And it got me thinking that, I really wish that the PlayStation 4 had PlayStation 1 games on it, and a larger selection of PS2 games. But, the PS4 doesn't offer that. So I was wondering what your opinions are on whether PlayStation or Sony is missing a trick by not having a large sort of virtual console for their back catalogue.
Part of me thinks, I definitely think that they don't have a good grasp on their virtual console, so to speak. I mean, I'm stealing Nintendo's term for what they call it. But I also feel like they don't have a lot of great retro games in that time period. Because
I disagree.
Well, what I'm getting at is they don't, because a lot of those games weren't Sony games. They were third-party games, correct? Like, Sony didn't really have a lot of first-party games in the early goings.
Well, yeah, I suppose, but they had a lot of good games, and they can work out licenses with third parties. Nintendo does it.
Nintendo does it, but Nintendo also, like, when you go into their eShop, their virtual console, when they have that going, a lot of that relies on their stuff. Like, some of it is third parties, but a good majority is first party stuff.
Well, on the PlayStation 3, their PlayStation 1 Classics line was quite big, and they did have a lot of third parties on there. They had a lot of Capcom games on there, lots of Mega Man titles and stuff. They got a lot of Square games. So I don't think it is an issue with third party relations in that, in that respect. I just think that they're not really capitalizing on the strength of their back catalogs.
Because again, that's not. It's not them. You know what I mean? Like, I think once you hit PlayStation the latter half of PlayStation 2 into PlayStation 3 is when it starts to come on heavy with the first party stuff for them. And I think that's why, maybe because they don't want to maybe pay for licensing agreements and stuff on all that stuff. I'm not really 100% sure, but I don't feel, I don't feel, but, and maybe that's just me. I don't have the nostalgia I have for PlayStation 1 is not PlayStation games. Crash might be the only game that when I think back to a PlayStation 1 that's a first party game. Maybe Gran Turismo, but I think back of like Metal Gear Solid, the original. I think back to Final Fantasy VII, Castlevania. So a lot of the games, when I think back to PlayStation 1, not many that I played on there, I feel. I mean, Gran Turismo is, yes, that's a Sony like first party game, but a lot of the games other than that I named are third party. So when I think Sony PlayStation 1, I don't think Sony first party. So to me, the classics, the PS1 classics, are mainly reliant upon licensed games. So I don't know how those deals structure. I don't know how they work. But at the same time, like I feel like Sony should do something. You know what I mean? Like they should build, but maybe because it's a constant negotiation thing. Like you have it this year, next year you don't. You have it this year, next year you don't. Maybe that's something they just don't want to deal with, constantly negotiating.
Well, I don't know, because you can still buy a lot of classics on the PlayStation 3. Like all of those PS1 games you were talking about, they're all on there. Plus loads of other ones that are really good. But they're not on PS4.
Yeah, but if Nintendo has taught us anything, every console's different. Like the licensing agreements for this doesn't translate to that. So what they've done on PlayStation 3 is ultimately going to be all new negotiations for PlayStation 4.
Possibly, but I just feel like they should make more of an effort with it. Like Xbox, for instance. They're like right now they're very much keen on having backwards compatibility. They're working on the 360 games and even original Xbox games and stuff. And I think that Sony just doesn't seem to care as much as Nintendo or Xbox. And they've got such a good legacy collection of games that they're just not prioritizing.
Yeah, I agree. I can't disagree with that. I feel like they need to embrace what they have of the past. I don't think they've comprehended yet that you can make money on your past. I mean, you look at Nintendo. Nintendo's the king at that. Like
I think Sony are sort of they are almost realizing that, but in a different way, because they're sort of bringing back more old franchises like Crash and Wipeout, and they're sort of remaking them. They're making them new again. And even games like Shadow of the Colossus, they're remaking it. So I think Sony, they seem to prefer remastering games.
That, you know what? I think you nailed it right now. Because that's the thing. When Sony started with PlayStation 1, Nintendo has the luxury of most of their games still look phenomenal, if not better, because pixel art just seems to look better as time goes on. When PlayStation 1 hit, it was that polygon phase where everything started to go polygon. And it's not pretty now. Like, the textures don't look good. The games don't hold up as well. You know, it's...
that's right. Even with the PS2 era and the GameCube era, like so far Nintendo's not done GameCube Virtual Console.
Yeah, and I think people have been clamoring for it, but man, those games don't look pretty. You know, like even like the Nintendo 64, like those games don't look that good. You know, it's so I think that might be the issue. Is Sony kind of isn't happy with the current presentation that it would put out, so maybe they think like, hey, maybe we need to redo these games to make them look good.
With the PS2 classics on the PlayStation 4, they do actually put them out in HD, like they up-res them. So I think that you are right in that way. Like,
and I don't know what type of return they get on that. You know what I mean? Wasn't it this week that somebody higher up in Sony was like really talking trash about things lately? he was taking shots at Xbox. Was it Jack Smith? What was his name? Something. I gotta look it up.
Jack Ryan, Jim Ryan.
That's it. Yeah, he was taking some shots, and he was basically saying, like, this kind of conversation came up, and he was like, I don't know why Xbox even does this, because, research shows
that's right, yeah.
nobody even plays these old games. Like, we did a thing where we had, like, PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games, and nobody was messing with the PlayStation 1. They were messing with the other consoles, and they weren't doing PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, so that tells us that we don't need these games. And it's like, ooh, that to me feels like you're a little out of touch with reality. You know what I mean? Like, but again, like, you look at what they're doing. Crash, they're redoing Crash, where Nintendo doesn't have to do, like, if they want to put out Mario All Stars, they don't even have to touch it. Like, it looks good no matter what, and I mean, after all these years, it still looks amazing. So to me, pixel art just gets better with age. Not all pixel art. There's some pixel art that's pretty bad, but like the latter part of the 8-bit and definitely 16-bit era, they're my favorites, man. They just look amazing. And then you look at, like, what a lot of indie developers are doing today. They're relying heavily on pixel art. You know what I mean? Like, I'm playing Cave Story Plus now. That's very heavily pixel art. And Mighty Gunvolt Burst, is it?
Yeah.
That's very heavily pixel art. That's old school Nintendo right there, man. That's like going back to Mega Man days. So maybe that's a lot to do with it. Maybe the games won't look that well, and it's an issue where they know they have to rework them and redo them. And then when you're going to third parties, maybe the third parties are like, nah, they're not holding up to what we want. You know what I mean? And maybe.
Yeah, and I think that there's probably, like, just less profit in it overall.
Yeah.
If they're not going to make millions of dollars, then why bother? I think they want to see a higher return on any investment.
Exactly. So, as far as the next topic, Nintendo, recently Nintendo has acknowledged AM2R, another Metroid 2 remake, is what it's officially called. Basically, what I wanted to know from you is, how do you feel about fan projects and when Nintendo gets involved and shuts them down? Like, are you upset by Nintendo for doing this? Do you agree with what they're doing? Like, what's your take on all this?
I think fan projects can be amazing. Like, another Metroid 2 remake is a phenomenal version of that game. It's really respectfully and really well done. Bad fan remakes, I think, are just bad for the IP in general, because you get a lot of bad Sonic games that people make, and, like, I know that you're not the biggest Sonic fan, but these games make Sonic look even worse most of the time.
I don't know that that's possible, but go ahead.
But so I can see how it could harm your IP, and in terms of, like, reputation and stuff. But I think, on the other hand, like Reggie said, that this AM2R, he said, when a fan game becomes a commercial product, that's when we shut them down.
Yeah.
And even though this guy wasn't selling the game, Reggie kept referring it as a commercial product.
Yeah.
And that kind of rubs me the wrong way, because they're not trying to make money. They're doing it out of love and respect. And maybe they're doing it because they want a bit of attention. They want to grab the attention of a developer that might hire them or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, the only other way it would be taking money away from Nintendo is if Nintendo had another game out and they played the fan game instead of the Nintendo game.
Which is where they're at right now.
Exactly, yeah, right now.
When they shut it down, people didn't realize, but Metroid Samus Returns, which is Nintendo's version of this remake, was in the works. So I feel like that's what Reggie's referring to when it's
I think so.
Commercially, like, at the time, like, it's affecting Nintendo's sales, because if you have this free game out and then you have Nintendo making Samus Returns, it's a situation where Nintendo might just go, well, Nintendo pushes forward, doesn't do anything, and then next thing you know, people are like, oh, I don't want to pay $40 for the Nintendo version. I'm going to download this one for free and play it because it's more, true to life. I also feel like Nintendo's also in a situation where they can't pick and choose who they shut down.
Yeah.
Because when the time comes, if they let something like this go by the wayside, and it builds momentum and builds steam, and then let's say someone does a Super Mario knockoff, but it's better polish, it looks amazing. Now they go to court and Nintendo loses because they're bringing up this other game that Nintendo allowed, regardless whether the people paid charge for it or not. If it looks like it's going to directly affect Nintendo sales, which this game I feel would. If Nintendo doesn't shut this game down and allows it to keep going, which ultimately it's still out there. You can still go download it today because people grabbed it and posted it all over the place. But that said, if it's a situation where you don't stop it from happening, then it could become a bigger issue. With the one that's out right now, not out, but working its way out, that I'm surprised they haven't shut down, is Mother 4. These two guys have been building this game for years, and it was supposed to be out by now, but it still hasn't released yet. I'm shocked that they have not, because this is like, it's basically Mother. It's another Mother game, and it's a lot of the battle mechanics and all that stuff are identical. It's just,
I wonder, are there demos or anything for this game, or is it just people making it still?
It's people making it still. It's not out.
So I think that's why they haven't shut it down yet, because
once it goes to demo version,
yeah, as soon as people are allowed to download something from it, then they'll shut it down.
Yeah.
Because they did that with the Zelda Maker. Like, this guy was doing Zelda Maker, and there was demos available, and it was getting media coverage, and then they shut it down.
Yeah.
So,
but I also wonder too. Like, does Nintendo know this stuff's even happening? Like, there's a difference whether a guy on the treehouse knows it's happening, and a difference between someone like Reggie or someone in Japan knows that it's happening. Like, it might be something where Nintendo of America might not have the power to shut things down. It might be Nintendo Japan. So it might be one of those things like, did it get back to Japan yet? You know what I mean? Like, it might take time. Where it's different, where if you and I hear it, maybe Nintendo doesn't know about it yet.
Yeah.
So it's one of those weird things. But
people were saying, like, why don't, like, Nintendo work with these fan creators? That's what a lot of people say. Like, if these fan games are so good, why don't you hire them, buy the rights to their game, and put it out? But I feel like Nintendo wouldn't do that because it's not their game. They've not designed it. Because you know what Nintendo's like. They approach new games or new versions of the games, and they always say, what can we do new here? What can we do different? For good or for worse,
Yeah.
That Metroid 2 remake is very faithful to the original in just a 16-bit style.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the new 3DS Metroid that's coming out, they are changing things, and they are adding
a lot.
They're adding that melee attack, and that's like something new they're adding. So
even the presentation, like the whole way it looks and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So as good as these fan games are, I think Nintendo, they like to try new things, and they wouldn't want to just put out a fan game.
It's funny because I did a Nintendo talk roughly around this, and my Nintendo talk was based about Nintendo acknowledging AM2R even existed, and it actually started with Tanabe talking about it because they asked him first, and he had a weird response to it. But they also went to the creator of AM2R and said, "What do you feel about Samus Returns?" So when I talked about this story and I posted it, in the comments, it's got a lot of views and a lot of comments because a lot of people are behind this and are passionate about this AM2R. But what a lot of people are saying is they wish that Nintendo would go to this guy, buy this version, and then put it in Samus Returns, like an unlockable thing. Because they've done that in the past in like other Metroid games where you, like if you beat Zero Mission, it unlocks the original Metroid in it.
Yeah.
So that's what they're saying. Like, hey, if we can, if we buy Samus Returns and we beat it, it'd be cool if they unlock this. And I know Nintendo would never do anything like that. But it would be kind of cool if they did. It would
be cool.
Yeah.
But I think, you're right. Nintendo would never do it because they'd never swallow their pride enough to accept somebody else's work and put it in their own game. And, there's issues with what's canon and what's not. Like,
I mean, I feel like what this guy did, I feel like, because you showed that thing that Easy Allies posted, or in their forum or whatever, where when you look at the different segments, Nintendo's made more drastic changes.
Yeah, exactly.
Than this guy did. This guy was kind of faithful. He took some liberties. He like you can see certain parts where he opened the map up a little bit. Maybe hidden areas and stuff to explore. But it's ultimately for me what I would like to see. And this is where I get into the whole thing, where I get into the debates with people and kind of arguments with them, is why do you need to make a Metroid remake? Go make an Axiom Verge. Like, go do your own thing. And
yeah, exactly. It makes me think of the Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Chris Whitehead, I think, and he was doing Sonic fan games before, where he was, just modding like 16-bit Sonic games and that. And then Sega picked up on that, and instead of like denying him, shutting him down, they said, why don't you come and work for us and we'll make a new Sonic game together? Because he was good at what he was doing, and they sort of harnessed his talent in a good way. So I think if Nintendo were to work with this Metroid guy, like, they could say, all right, we're not going to buy the rights to your game or anything, which would be weird because like it's their game in the first place, so they shouldn't have to buy any rights. But like, they should just say, let's work together and we can put out a new 2D pixel Metroid game.
And that would be, to me, that would be the ultimate thing, is for Nintendo to pull this guy aside and go, look, we see what you did, we appreciate it, we're not using it, but come on staff, we'll give you a small team, let's start building 2D Metroid games in the 16-bit era and see what you could do. Like, ultimately, that would be the way to go. And I think, man, the fan service, people would go ballistic and be so happy for this guy.
They really would, yeah.
But also would respect Nintendo. And I think that's the way that Nintendo should approach this stuff and go, this is the way we're going to handle this stuff moving forward. This is the way we're going to do stuff moving forward. I think it ultimately would be a win-win for them. All right, so hot off the presses, we're going to bring 3 topics. 3 news articles. I will bring 3 Nintendo. Toby brings 3 Sony, and then we pick the one that we want to hear from the others grouping. I'll go first. So I've got story number 1, Nintendo stock rises. Story number 2, Rest in Peace Badge Arcade. Story number 3, Switch 3.0 updates and some cool features.
Let's go for Nintendo stock. Let's talk business, Bobby.
Okay. So this article is coming out of Nintendo Wire. So Nintendo stock has actually been on the rise since Switch got announced. Twitter user Daniel Ahmed shared on his account a graphic of Nintendo's current stock price. It's amazing the difference of 5 years can do, as the company's stock is 38,440 yen, about $345 according to the exchange. So it's basically showing that over the past 5 years, Nintendo's stock has gone up approximately $300 yen. Nintendo's market cap is now 49 billion as of June 23rd, which means it is now higher than Sony's market cap. Sony's is 48.5 billion. That's crazy to think that in a 5-year term, they've actually got their stock to go higher than Sony. And Sony is what amazes me with Nintendo is Nintendo's portfolio is basically video games, and that's all it is. Sony is
soon to be theme parks as well.
Soon to be, but they're not going to take all of that. It's just going to be a percentage of it. But that's all pure profit, you know.
Yeah, I feel like the way Nintendo's expanding, it does, you know, put investors.
Yeah,
like it swings them more towards them because they are making more use of their IPs, like you know, more money making opportunities.
In a good way.
But yeah, I'm extremely impressed by what Nintendo's achieving here. You know, with the Wii U, I'm sure it was a record low, their stock price, because they were failing hard.
They were getting crushed.
And the whole Switch thing this year has just been such a success story, such a turnaround.
Yeah.
Like, this year is such a phenomenal first year for a console. Not many consoles can say that they've had this much success in the first year. Not just in terms of sales, you know, because the Wii was successful, the DS was successful.
Yeah.
But in terms of the amount of great games that are coming to the Switch. And it blows me away. Like, a year ago, I would never have thought that this year would be so good for Nintendo.
Yeah. I look at it and I go, you know, for me, I look at Nintendo and what they've done this past year, and I go, holy cow, dude. These guys were, like, the whipping boys for a couple of years, for the past couple of years. Like, they could do no right. Didn't matter what game they put out. It was getting bashed and hammered. And then now it's like they can do no wrong. It's a total flip-flop of where they were. And that blows me away. Like, it's like, even when something bad comes out, within like a day, a good news article just comes out and totally flips it. You know, and it's like, this is nuts. Like, the whole thing with the Hori voice chat thing.
Yeah. People
lost their minds with that thing. And then, like, within 8 hours, Nintendo talks about the price of online, and nobody talks about it no more. It's like, oh, wait, $20 for the year? That's it? It was like, they just...
Yeah, their
got
PR
the magic
team
touch.
is on fire.
Oh, they got the magic touch, man. No matter, you know, when you think back to the Wii U, right? And everybody was like, the problem with the Wii U was there was no way to explain what the Wii U did. Like, the example was like, well, look, you played the Wii, and they gave you this Wiimote, and they said, let's bowl. And you threw the ball, and you got the feel. You want to play baseball, and you would pitch, and then hit. And you want to play tennis, and you swung the Wiimote like a racket, and it just worked, and you got it. Dude, that's what the Switch is right now. Like, you show somebody the commercial, and it's like, boom, you got it. Like,
with the click and everything.
Yeah, with the click and everything. It's like, you get it. Like, this week, beginning of the week, a girl I work with, she came into my office, and we were talking for a moment, and the guy that works nights for me said something to her about Nintendo, and she's like, oh, yeah, you know, I like video games, and I'm like, yeah, so do I, you know, and I'm like, I do all this stuff with video games, and she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So then I said, she's like, oh, my son, he keeps bothering me for this stupid handheld that Nintendo has out, and I'm like, what's the handheld? She's like, I don't know, that new thing that's out, and I'm like, oh, the Switch? And she's like, yeah. I go, hold on for a second. I go in my drawer, I pull it out, I go, this thing? And she's like, that's it. And she goes, I don't get it. I'm not going to buy him a handheld. I'm like, it's not just a handheld. Within 2 minutes, I explain what the thing is, and she's like, oh my God, I'm going to get it for him. And I'm like, there it is. So I explain the dock. I'm like, I take it home, I put it in the dock, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm sitting there and I pull off the Joy-Cons. And it's oh my God. I pull off the Joy-Cons and I go, look, now if you were here, we could play together on the thing. She goes, are you serious? She goes, this is amazing. And like, sold. This kid has been trying to sell his mom on this, she said, for months, and she wouldn't budge. I got her for 5 seconds, man, and she's buying this thing for this kid.
Dude, you need to go and work at Next Level Games. Sell some Switches down there.
Well, he don't sell Switches, so if he did, I would be his guy. I would be like, Nick, come on, bro, we're gonna sell some Switches. If he sold Switches, I'd go to work for him. I'd be like, I'll come to work for free for you, Nick.
Don't say that, Bobby.
I know, now I'm gonna get myself in trouble. So what's your 3 news articles?
Alright, so we got Death Stranding is already playable on PS4.
Ooh.
Lost Legacy isn't the end for Uncharted. Or Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered.
Stop. I don't want to hear that garbage.
Well, that's quite controversial, though.
Okay, go ahead. What's...
Yeah, so it's now going to be for sale separately, because you could, before you could only get it as a bundle, and people are upset about the price.
Oh, man. You know I like Kojima, man. You know I love me some Kojima.
Alright, let's do the Death Stranding then. If you want to talk about it,
No. I was just doing the whole, I don't want to talk about Call of Duty because Alan with the whole tweet this week.
I know. Yeah, Alan's like tweeting us.
Yeah.
Oh, get hype, Call of Duty is coming out.
Like,
and me and Bobby were like, no.
Yeah, I'm like, don't tag me in that trash. Yeah, let's talk Call of Duty. Let's go.
All right.
This.
So so before where was it Infinite Warfare, the latest Call of Duty that was out, it came with a special pre-order bundle where you paid, was it $70? I think it's $70 or $80. I haven't got the information with me, but basically you paid sorry, I'm getting confused here. So you paid $70 or however much it was, and as part of this pre-order, you got access to a remaster of everyone's favorite Call of Duty Modern Warfare remaster. Okay. So, and people were like, "Oh, you're holding it hostage behind this new game that we don't necessarily want. We just want to buy it separately." And they were like, "Nope, you can only get it by buying this game that you don't want." And it was like people were really upset about it, but it sold a lot of copies of this Infinite Warfare because people only wanted to play the remaster version. Yeah. And now, nearly a year later, the game is announced for standalone, and it's $40. And the people that bought it as part of this pre-order bundle are very upset because now that's the game they wanted originally, and they could have got it for $40 back then. And then also the people are upset who didn't buy it back then because it's $40.
Oh my god!
They think it's too much because it's just a remaster. So,
well, okay, let's break it down. Let's look at this in a perspective of reality. So, if they would have brought it out back then, you figure Call of Duty 60, and if they sold it for 80, that's $20. They were essentially charging for this standalone
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Okay, so the people now are pissed because they're like, I don't want to pay $40 for a $20 game.
Yeah.
But they got to also recognize that it was a bundle, so that's why you were getting
bundle though.
That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is it was a bundle, so that's why the price was cheaper. If they would have done it standalone, they might have still charged more for it and just said, "Here." I think Call of Duty just in one of them boats where it doesn't matter what they do, they're getting yelled at. Man, I don't know. I'm just of the mindset, like, if you don't like it, don't buy it. Like, I get you like the game, you want the game badly, but if you don't like the situation, if you don't buy it, like them original people that were pissed off that there was behind a paywall, they should have just not bought it. Yeah. They've just been like, we're not going to buy it. Yeah. Because ultimately
back then, they were saying that they weren't going to sell it standalone. Like, they were saying, nope, this is the only way you can get this game.
So, to me, that's the time when you send the message.
Yeah.
But when you go and you buy it, now I'm sure there's people that would have bought it just because they wanted the new game. Those sales are those sales. But if you buy it and you help them make money, then to them, they're not doing anything wrong. Unless... and we don't have the sales figures in front of us. Maybe that game didn't do as well as they thought it would do, even though it was blocked behind a paywall. Maybe they didn't buy it.
I think Infinite Warfare was on a decline. Like, over the years they've been selling less and less. They're still selling phenomenal amounts.
Yeah, but it's not what it was. It's not the juggernaut that it used to be. But
it's still a juggernaut,
but it's not what it used to be. Like when
when
you have a game like Grand Theft Auto come out and blow the doors off of Call of Duty, basically showing that these annualized games aren't as big as they used to be. Because Call of Duty would come out every single year, and they would outsell the year before, and the year before was huge numbers. Now it's on a decline, and people are starting to see that there's fatigue in these games, where you don't need it every single year. So, ultimately, like, yes, it's part of a decline. Perhaps also there was a bit of a protest and people didn't realize. I think that what people need to do is not buy this game right off Jump Street. I think you continue to send a message. Don't buy it.
How about this, Bobby?
Go ahead.
If Nintendo came out and said, pre-order Super Mario Odyssey for $80,
yes,
and we will give you a HD remake of Mario Sunshine,
I would be like, yes.
You cannot get this game separately.
Don't matter, I would buy it. That's me. I would buy it because I would
say you didn't want Mario Odyssey.
So let's say I didn't want Mario Odyssey, but I did want Sunshine. I'm a huge fan of Sunshine.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm not. But let's just say I am. And I want this game, and I can't. Okay, we'll do you one better because we'll put it in terms of what I really would want.
Okay.
If they said we're going to do Super Mario All-Stars 2, which is Mario 64 remastered, Sunshine remastered, and Galaxy 1 and 2 in a bundle.
Yeah.
For $80 with Odyssey. And I really don't want Odyssey for whatever reason it is. So basically what they're telling me is I got to pay $80 for this remaster collection.
Yeah.
See, I'm of a different being, man. I would probably spend the money because I would want it.
I just think
I know. I would probably spend the money, and I'd be part of the problem because I'm sitting here going like, "Don't do it," and then I would do it.
It's setting a bad precedent because they're holding games hostage through pre-orders.
Yeah.
And
they should have ultimately
idea.
Ultimately, yes, they should have sold it separate. They should have been like, it's no different than. Let's be honest, Nintendo did it to some degree. The only way you could get Super Mario All-Star Collection on the Wii was to buy the 25th anniversary Wii. They didn't sell that separate. The only way you could get that collection was to buy it. Later on, they sold it separately. Just recently, they sold it separately. But originally, you couldn't get that unless you bought that. So, yeah, I don't think... Like, I look at that and I go, man, you want me to buy a $200 system to get essentially a $25 game? That's a bit much. Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, ultimately, I don't like the thing, but it's like, how do you send a message to the developers? You don't buy it, but I really want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, it sucks,
it's hard.
But it's like, it's so difficult, man. It's so difficult to do. You know what I mean?
It's like, right, it's different. No, this is a different thing, different tangent, but it's like, you've got Rhyme coming out for Switch, and you've got Ukulele coming out for Switch. Yeah. Two games that are late, that are already on other platforms, and they're probably going to cost a bit more on Switch, especially by the time they come out.
Oh, definitely.
Compared to definitely. So, and it's like, I really want it on Switch, I really want to support them, but they're not really putting the effort in or the time to get it on Switch. Ukulele's a little bit different because, they were doing it for Wii U.
Ukulele's BS. But go ahead.
But it feels like they aren't treating Nintendo as well as they should in terms of priority, and I feel like I really want to support them, but I don't, because of their practices. So it's hard.
I feel like in a situation with Ukulele, I look at it and go, "You were making a game for the Wii U. The Switch is more powerful than the Wii U, so there's no reason why that game shouldn't be there." What they're trying to say is, we're trying to make Wii U, or we're trying to make Switch exclusive things to happen. We don't need that. Give us the game. Ultimately, I think it hurts Playtonic, because the game's not really reviewing well at all. So by the time it does hit the Switch, it doesn't sell that well. And then that hurts Nintendo, to some degree because people have lost interest in the game. It's not Banjo-Kazooie, you know, and it's just like, oh man, like they had the momentum. That game, because that game was such a love, you know, it was a love letter to Banjo-Kazooie, and because Nintendo fans love Banjo-Kazooie so much, that was the opportunity to sell that game. Now you got it in a different thing. Rhyme had a different battle in its own right too, that they were charging more money on the Switch than they were in Nintendo. Now they've adjusted the price since, and it's come down in price. But that's at the same time. But I also think that Rhyme was also kind of working hand in hand with PlayStation on that one. So I think it was a little bit of a different animal on that.
Yeah.
But like you look at Oceanhorn, that's a big complaint right now. Is like, oh, I can get this game cheaper elsewhere. Why am I paying more money for Nintendo? It's weird. Like I just bought Cave Story for $30, man. But I bought it too because it came with a booklet and it came with a soundtrack.
Yeah,
like, there was
that's
more
cool.
to it. But what blew my mind was, why is it $30 for the digital copy?
Yeah.
Like, that's the part that I don't get. I understand that they want to keep it parallel, but like when the physical copy is actually giving you more, why is the digital copy so much is the same price? And it should have been cut by $10 easily. You know, that instruction booklet.
They're trying to keep the retailers happy.
That's what they're trying to do. And at the same time, like, then if you want to keep the retailers happy, you need to give more to it. You can't do it across the board. It's the same thing with digital movies. They're charging the same price as it is to pick it up in the store, and they're giving you less. Here's the thing: like if I go to the store and I buy Wonder Woman when Wonder Woman comes out, I know that when I buy Wonder Woman, I'm gonna get like maybe an art book in it. If I buy the collector's edition, I'll get like an art book in it. I'll get this stuff. I'll get some additional copy, like not additional copies. I'll get additional footage and all that.
Yeah,
and it's like
you probably get a digital code anyway.
Yeah, and it's like when you buy the game, you buy the movie digitally, it's the same price as I would have paid in the store, and I don't get nothing.
Yeah, I think digital games should come with a free copy of a physical version. You know, like
I think a physical version should come with the digital copy. Dude, if the physical version...
Well, I'm saying, like, in terms of films, like, a lot of films come with a digital...
Yeah, think about it. If games came with a physical... Man, we went off way on a tangent.
Yeah,
I don't care. I like this.
We're in the weeds.
But it's fine. I like it. But if games came with a digital code, dude, it would be so amazing. Because I would just
if they could figure
the
that out, like somehow to link those two, so you couldn't just sell the physical copy.
Even if it was a little bit more money, you know what I mean? Like if there were okay, so comic books are doing that now. DC started doing this a while ago. You pay like an extra $1 for a comic book, and you get a digital code, and you can download the thing. Dude, I would do that in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? Because what happens is, with comic books, it's a little different because they don't want to like increase the pages and all that. So it's nice. You pay the extra $1, and you can basically buy the book, put it in a plastic sleeve, cardboard backing, put it away, then take the digital code to your iPad and read the comic book there. So that to me is ideal. That's perfect. You know. But it'd be nice if like I could buy the physical game and then just put it away and not have to touch it and worry about it getting destroyed, or if they did have instruction booklets still, like the book getting messed up and all that. Like that's the other thing. Like, do you remember when Nintendo was doing this for a while, and it seems like they slacked off a little bit, but they used to do digital instruction booklets where the instruction booklet in the digital was basically what you would have gotten in a physical one.
Yeah.
But, like, these games aren't doing, like, instruction booklets anymore. And it's just not instruction booklets. Like, they're not telling you how to do anything. Like, I'm struggling with Mighty Gunvolt Burst. Because I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Like, I know the mechanic of Mega Man. Like, I go in, I beat a boss, and I get his weapon. But I'm like, okay, so how do I upgrade my weapons in this game? And I'm, like, banging my head against the wall trying to figure it out. And it's like, so frustrating.
Are you sure there's not a digital book on the Switch?
I gotta look. I haven't seen it.
If you press like options or whatever, I don't know. You can sometimes look at information on there.
I have to look and see.
But I don't know. On the 3DS, you can look at digital books. Like I got RPG Maker for the 3DS, and that is like a complicated piece of
They
software.
better come with an instruction booklet for
And
that.
I bought the limited edition that come with a box set and a CD and a little booklet. But in the booklet, there's literally no information. They call it a player's guide, but it's literally just pictures and like a little tiny bit of text here and there, and that's it. And I was like confused about some stuff, and I'm like, I know the PC version's inside out, but this 3DS version was like, oh, this is different. And I did have to look through the digital manual, and even then, it's like.
So my question, I asked you this the other day. You might have answered me. I'm not sure. So in order for me to play your level, I have to buy that game.
No.
Really?
They're putting out a free download called RPG Maker Fez Player. And it's free to download. And then you can download as many RPGs that people have made.
See, now that's ingenious. Yeah. That is awesome. Man, what they've done is you're going to have games coming out on the 3DS for years later.
Yeah.
Now, how do you... Okay, so now how do I download the game? So, okay, so I have this player thing. How do I get access to your level? Is it through their website?
I've not looked on the player yet. I don't know if the player's available yet.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it'll be like you go on there, on the app, and then you search somehow. Like maybe I'll have a code you can put in or whatever. I'm not sure because I've not uploaded a game yet.
So if I play my cards right in about 20 years, when you finally finish your masterpiece, I'll be able to play it, right?
Yeah, it does take a long time, man. I've put 6 hours in, and all I've made so far is basically 2 maps. I've got a small little city that I've built because it's like a modern RPG, and there's a tower, like an apartment tower block, and I've built the inside of that with a couple of apartments. And the only story I've got is a guy gets out of his car, walks up, goes in the apartment, and there's somebody to talk to at a desk, and then upstairs there's somebody to talk to in an apartment. And that's all I've done in 6 hours. It takes a long time. Like I am getting more efficient, like as I'm learning it, but yeah, you're going to be waiting a while to play my game.
Wow. Good Lord. Man. So, like I said, in 20 years...
It is game development. Like, games aren't made in a day, Bobby.
I didn't say it was, but I'm just saying, like...
It's not going to be 20 years. It'll be 6 months. Let's say that. Actually, let's not say that, because I'm having a baby. This ain't gonna be
exactly. 20 years, man. Little Bobby he'll be trying to play your game.
Yes, little Bobby.
Have you come around with that name yet? Like,
no, I have not come around, Bobby.
It's nonsense.
It's not happening.
Have you talked to Karina about it?
Yeah, she laughed.
She laughed because she was like, that's ingenious. He is very smart.
My brother said, it actually sounds quite nice. It rolls off the tongue.
Thank you! That's what I said.
I was like, no.
Thank you, Murren.
Come on. Like, if I did that, if I named my kid after you, then for years you'd be rubbing it in my face.
I would not, dude. I would be honored to all hell, man. I told you, the Capris let me down, man. Sean totally dropped the ball.
Dude, anyway, we're gonna have to wait.
Don't make me make Alan my best friend, please. So that way Alan will... I don't want Robert Stephen Paxton. Huh?
Alan's not having kids. Alan's got to find a girlfriend first. Come on.
Stop. That's mean.
No, that is mean.
Alright, let's jump into the rewind real quick before we end this. Did you bring...
I bought a PlayStation game.
Yeah, please. Thank God.
This week.
Good
yeah, because
Lord.
I cheated last time. I bought a Nintendo game. I wasn't supposed to. But yeah, so yeah, we said we could go GameCube, PlayStation 2 era. So I'm bringing a PlayStation 2 game.
Okay.
That is being remastered. That comes out next month.
You are such a bonehead.
Final Fantasy 12, and like I want to bring people's attention to this game.
Okay.
And back in the day, like this was an amazing Final Fantasy. It's so different to Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10. Like 7, 8, 9, 10 were very similar. They had like these huge stories and turn-based combat and everything. And 12 kind of took a radical like direction. Like it was more like an offline MMO, and you had your party of characters, but it wasn't like traditional turn-based. Like the combat, there would be enemies in the environment, and when you approach them, you could just attack them there and then. There'd be none of that like screen tearing and then going into a side-on battle or anything. You could run around the enemies during combat. Like, you had freedom of movement.
Yeah.
And whilst you're doing that, you can set up a system called the Gambit system. And this is a set of instructions that you give your party members. So you can say, if the party falls below a certain percentage of their hit points, then cast a heal spell. Or if somebody gets, a certain status ailment, then use this item to heal them.
Nice.
And you can sort of chain these commands together to become really efficient and effective and sort of automated. It's like a really cool sort of strategic element to the game. And you have to like keep on top of it, because when you approach different enemies, then certain things won't work. You might have to change the order of your gambits and stuff, and like with different party members as well. So it's very like interesting like that, and the world is quite open and free roaming. There's a lot of different areas that are very wide and winding. It's just a really different Final Fantasy, and a lot of people missed it because it came out right at the end of the PlayStation 2's lifespan, and a lot of people skipped it and went on to Final Fantasy 13 when that was the next big thing. So if you're interested in Final Fantasies, especially the older ones, then I would say give it a shot, because it's £28 in the UK. It's a budget remaster, and it looks phenomenal, and it's a really decent
Is it
game.
out now, or is it coming out?
I think it's out next month. It's out very soon.
I have to check it out. I will check it out. Dude, I was a huge Final Fantasy fan. So I just fell off. It got to the point where it just always seemed and felt so overly complex. The systems just started to get crazy. I wanted to talk about a role-playing game as well, Dragon Warrior, which is actually Dragon Quest. So Dragon Warrior was on the NES. How I got this game was a total fluke, right? So I kind of was shady when I did this when I was a kid. So I bought this game called Super Dodgeball, and I beat it within like 10 minutes of getting home, and I was like, this game is trash.
Ben Stiller in it.
What's that?
With Ben Stiller in it.
No, this is... So I was like, I don't want this game no more. I want to take it back, but they wouldn't let me take it back unless there was something wrong with it. And I was like, so I like took some dirt and put it in the cartridge part and like slid it back and forth, and like,
wow.
So the game wouldn't play no more, right?
Yeah.
So I took it back to the store, and I was like, this game don't work. Can I get my money back? And they're like, no, you can't get your money back. We could trade it in. And I was like, okay. So they were like, I paid like $50 for this game, right? And they were like, all right, so here's a $50 ticket or whatever. Like, is there anything? Or first they were like, we'll have to give you that game, but they didn't have any in copy because the game was garbage. Oh. So I so they're like, come back next time you come back to the mall, come back in and we'll try it again. So I go back in, I have my ticket. I'm like, nope, we don't have the game again. I'm like, oh my god. So I left. So now
you don't want the game anyway. So like,
I don't want the game. You know what I mean? But I'm like, whatever.
Thank God. Yeah.
I'm like, thank God. So then finally the third time I take my dad. I tell my dad. My dad's like, really? And I go, yeah. He goes, let's go. But I didn't tell my dad I damaged the game. So it's so bad.
This is so shady.
To my defense, I was only 13 years old. I was just a young kid.
Old enough to know better.
I was not old enough to know better. I didn't know better. Stop. So anyway, we go down. My dad goes, we're going to go. Let's go. So he takes me down to the store. And we're already in the mall, but he takes me down to the store in the mall. And he's like, I go up to the thing. And the manager happened to be there at the time. And I show him and I tell him. And he's like, no, we don't have the game. My dad's like, dude, the kid's been coming in for 3 months now. Can you give him a game? This is nonsense. He took his money. Give him a game. And the manager's like, yeah, you know what? That's fine. He's like, the game was $50. Is there anything in here that you want for $50? I'll give you the game for $50. So Dragon Warrior's here. And I'm like, all right, give me Dragon Warrior. And did you know what the game was? No clue what Dragon Warrior was. I thought it looked cool. It looked cool. I had seen a couple things in Nintendo Power, but really, I thought it was kind of like Zelda. That was my feeling. Yeah. Because they had been at the time they had been referring it to be kind of like Zelda. So I was like, oh, this is like Zelda. I'm gonna get it. No clue that it was actually like you're roaming around and this fight scene happens and you're reading, and I had no idea what it was. Mm-hmm. So I wound up getting it and fell in love with it. And what would happen is me and my buddy, would play, and that game was so hard. That's where grinding came into play. So we would grind for like hours on end. And my buddy, because I didn't trust him to do anything in the game, I would be like, but he wanted to play. I'm like, you can walk in a circle in this area. Just keep walking. Just keep walking in. Yeah, just keep walking in a circle, and you can just fight whatever pops up in this area. You should live. You'll be fine. And if you get hurt or whatever, go back to this town and rest, and then go back out. But can't.
You're an evil genius.
Yeah, I was like, but you can't leave this area. And he's like, okay, dude. He said, I wound up falling asleep because I was bored, just watching him walk around in circles, and I fell asleep, and I woke up like 2 hours later, and he was still going. He was still going, and he's like, I woke up, and I'm like, Dave, you're still here? And he's like, yeah, man, I love this game. This game is awesome. And I'm like, yeah. Okay, and I look, and he's still in the same area, and he hasn't left, and he's like, oh, by the way, your mom came in, and she's like, asked me what I was doing here while you were sleeping, and I was like, told her I was playing, she's like, that's fine. I'm like, okay. So I get up, I go up, my mom's like, why is Dave sitting there just playing that game, and you're sleeping? Like, tell him to go home. And I'm like, no, it's fine, leave him be, he's good. I'm like, I'm up now, I'm good. I go back in the room. Dude, by the time I got a hold of the game, dude, I was up like 2 or 3 levels, which took forever to go up in levels too, because your hit point, like your next level hit points and all that, like your experience points to go up were like thousands, and you were
exponentially.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. Yeah. But it allowed me to start to advance in the game, and then like a couple days later, I'd bring him over and have him do the same thing, and then that's how I got through that game. Like he would grind, and I would like fall asleep watching him grind.
That's a really good story, Bobby. I like that.
So I would play the game. But I wound up beating the game. I loved that game. That game was so good. And it actually got me into Final Fantasy after that. And then I realized at that time that Final Fantasy's play mechanics were just, the fight mechanics and all that, which is above and beyond compared to, Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest. So that's what we are. So that is all. Thank you guys for listening to us on Dayspace, if that's how you check this out, iTunes, Google Play, all that good stuff. Check us out on YouTube as well for the video version of this show. Toby, it's been fun.
It has been fun.
I also want to thank all of our Patreon supporters, our patrons on Patreon.
That's right, Bobby.
I listened back last week and I'm like, oh man, he made me sound like a jerk. But the support has been so overwhelming. Like, I can't say thank you enough to all the new people that jumped in and all that stuff. And it's just, like, insane the amount of people that are, like, just coming out of the woodworks and doing it. Man, I'm just humbled through and through. So I can't say thank you enough to everybody.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I'm super thankful as well. Yeah. Like it's so cool, like having all these people. Yeah. Just $1 or $2, like it all mounts up and it all means like the world to us. So.
And the crazy thing is, like, I remember when we discussed the Patreon, and we were like putting these numbers up there, like $75 we'll do this, and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, it's gonna be like a year before we hit that, and like we're like more than halfway there. Like it's crazy to think that, like, after 2 weeks, like, this is nuts. It's amazing. It really is. It's thank you guys, thank you everybody. So anyway, that is all. See me later.
Mark Carabin is no longer a chump. See me later.
Oh, you little sissy. Did you really just back out of that?
Dude, I felt bad. Because he left a comment and he's like, he's being mean to me back. Like, Mark, be nice to me, Mark.
Oh my
speak is better than the way that you speak.
The way you speak is messed up. I speak proper English. You speak some weird language over there. I don't know what it is.
Well, I wear pants underneath my trousers, Bobby.
I wear underwear under my pants.
This is crazy. This is like Russian dolls.
It's not like Russian dolls.
Underwear, pants, trousers, like
I don't know
one inside of the
I
other.
have no clue what you were talking about, sir.
This episode is brought to you by all of our patrons. To become a patron, head over to patreon.com/makeusbetter. This week's executive producers are Nick. Sorry, Bobby. Can I start again? Oh my god.
Nick.
Nick.
Go ahead.
This episode is brought to you by all of our patrons. To become a patron, head over to patreon.com/makeusbetter. This week's executive producers are Nick from Next Level Games and Joel Brooks. You guys are awesome.
That seems so unsincere.
You guys are so awesome! Yeah! Seriously, they are.
I know. I agree. It just felt kind of forced. I didn't like it.
It feels false because I'm just saying it like a script.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why,
Are you going to cut it then?
I'm going to cut some of it and change it.
Alright.
So it sounds good.
Okay, alright.
Alright, so here we
Do what you want.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Nintendo PlayStation Podcast. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by my best friend in